Hey guys, Coach JZ here with the Lifetime Athlete and with a master class today. We're going to be talking about strength and hypertrophy. These are probably some of the most important considerations for lifetime athletes. And when we think about muscle as our organ of mechanics and motion, as well as a metabolic sink for glucose disposal, it's incredibly valuable and the research supports it. So let's talk about how our training can influence our muscles. So first of all, when you look at these terms, strength and hypertrophy, they're related but not quite the same thing. So strength is that ability to produce force. And one way we can look at this is use my incredible art skills to see these dog bones here. And so this dog bone, or roughly a humerus, has a muscle on it. And this, we could call this a biceps brachii muscle, it doesn't matter. But over time, with strength training, this muscle becomes able to handle heavier loads, so lift a larger weight, again, put out more force. That's strength. Now, you can train in such a way where you can get stronger, but you don't gain much mass, or you can build your muscles up with a de-emphasis on strength. But in reality, these things tend to go together. As we do our strength training, we get stronger, and we also see a slight increase in our muscle size or muscle mass. If you look at a cross-sectional diameter of this same muscle, you can see that those muscle fibers have gotten larger, and that's known as hypertrophy. So that's where all of those gains come from. Now, if I move over here and just show you another element, strength or training for strength is best accomplished when we keep these things in mind. We want to use maximum intent or intention, at least with some of the sets that we're training in during a week. And now, in reality, for most lifetime athletes, that might only be 2 to 3 sets in 1 to 2 exercises. With that exposure repeated a few times per week, that may be entirely adequate to do what we're trying to do. And we don't need to take training to an absolute beat down level. What we want to do when we use max intent, though, is work towards failure or momentary muscular failure. And one of the unique things is the literature will show we don't really have to go all out every time. In fact, if we get close to failure, it's actually almost the same result, or very close it can be. So that means we're using an RPE, or rate of perceived exertion, in a set, 8 or higher. I think 8, based on the research, is the entry-level point there. Or I'm very fond of RIR, or repetitions in reserve. If you finish a set and you've got less than 2 reps left in the tank, 2 or less, you've created the stimulus that we're looking for. And that stimulus will increase your strength or force production capacity. Now, going along with that, if our training is targeting hypertrophy and those gains in building muscle, we want to do 3 things, and these 3 things are very well supported. First of all, we want to have adequate volume, enough training to send that message to the body, hey, we've got to build some muscle here because this clown keeps doing this thing to us, aka training. That's sometimes represented as TUT, or time under tension, creating a volume of tension in the muscle, enough to, again, go over that threshold, create the stimulus. We also want a very small amount in lifetime athletes of micro trauma or muscular damage in a very small amount. Again, I want to be careful about how we dose that, and that's sort of why I designed the Training Tribe programming and the work that I do with my clients the way that I do, because we want to make the gains, but we don't want to put anybody at risk or sacrifice their longevity. And lastly, there needs to be a bit of metabolic stress in all of this. And so that's basically just, you've worked out, a nice, hard, sweaty workout. These things together help create the messaging that leads to hypertrophy as well as strength. And what that's known as is an anabolic stimulus. And so we undergo some muscle protein synthesis. We increase bone density. We actually increase our organ weight, and we improve the health of our skin, hairs, nails, and teeth. All of this stuff, when you put it together, means that we're creating a hormonal stimulus with our training, driving up growth hormone and testosterone, and that sets off that cascade or sequelae of muscular excellence that we're going after. And the one thing we have to remember as lifetime athletes, we want to support the training with our dietary protein intake, and probably trying to create a circulating pool of peptides and amino acids by feeding several times through the day and getting about 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. So that's a great synopsis of strength and hypertrophy training, and that's what T2 is doing right now in the strength and hypertrophy training block. Thanks for joining me.